Hello everyone, my name is Alan Garciaro from the Polytechnic University of Catalonia. We developed this work entitled Cooling Effect of Urban Parks in the Metropolitan region of Barcelona. The sample of Viladecans, Gavà, and Castelldefels urban continues. This work is part of a series of studies within the Competitive Urban Clean Plan project. Here in this study, we propose the quantification of the cooling effect of a series of urban parks using remote sensing thermal data. This effect is mainly quantified through two indicators: the intensity, which is the difference in temperature between the urban areas and the park, and the extent, which is the distance that the climatic effect of the park reaches on the urban surroundings. We selected 7 urban parks. These spaces are located in the conurbation of the municipalities of Viladecans, Gavà, and Castelldefels within the Metropolitan region of Barcelona. In the methodology, first we calculated the land surface temperature of the area of the 3 municipalities with the Landsat-A thermal image of July 26 of 2018, using the corrected emissivity algorithm and obtaining an image with a resolution of 30 meters. Then, to calculate the cooling effect of the parks, we departed from the principle expressed in this conceptual model, where, by generating a series of temperature data from the urban surroundings ordered by distance to the park, a cooling curve is created, which shows the point of cooling intensity, here expressed as delta T max, and in turn the cooling extent, here expressed as L max. Under this principle, we defined 3 stages of quantification of the cooling effect at different levels of detail. The 3 methods start by subdividing the urban surroundings within a radius of 500 meters from each park. In the first method, we subdivide the area into 2 large concentric rings. In the second method, we subdivide them into 50 concentric 10-meter wide rings, and in the third, we subdivide the area into 50 concentric rings, but also into 10-meter cross-section or transversal sections, creating a 10 meters grid of cells. Due to its shape and proximity to another park, the Rambla of Gavà, which is the elongated park shown here, was excluded in the second method, and we applied the third method only to the space, which means that the first method was applied to the 7 parks. In the results, we can see that the temperature of the parks is strongly linked to the temperature of the urban area of the municipalities. Regarding to the first method, it can be observed that all the parks registered an average LST lower than the first ring A1 between 0 to 100 meters distance from the park. Only 5 of the 7 parks registered the highest mean LST in the surroundings in ring A2 from 100 to 300 meters. The Tellaneiras and the Plaza Asturias parks registered their maximum mean LST in ring A1, which highlight the low temperatures of the urban area in which they are located and which correspond to a discontinuous residential use. In the second method, with the 50 concentric rings of 10 meters wide, an image much more similar to the conceptual model is observed. Here in particular, the cooling intensity and extents were identified in a greater detail, identifying a mean extent of 91.67 meters and intensity of 1.22 degrees. Here in the graphs, the temperature difference of each of the 50 concentric rings with the park is observed in an unadjusted series that allow us to see the behavior of the temperature of the urban surroundings. Last, with the construction of the 10-meter grid around the Rambla de Gavà, an even more detailed vision of the cooling effect on urban spaces was obtained. We propose to analyze it as 2 data series, one to the northeast and one to the southeast. For example, here in the relief plot, the LST values are displayed with values adjusted by transversal section, where the temperature drop in the Rambla de Gavà is clear and a significant increase is also observed in the northeast area, where the industrial unit seems to be according to the Corinthian color. Here it is observed that the temperature difference between each of the urban areas and the mean LST of the entire Rambla is very different from the relationship between the mean LST of each urban area and the corresponding sections in the Rambla. Here, to calculate the cooling intensity and extent, the data series of mean LST adjusted for both northeast and southwest are constructed As can be seen here, we again have an image similar to the conceptual model, with the particularity that we can identify the difference in cooling between both orientations, which reflects more important disparities. Finally, in this method, with the calculation of the cooling effect in each of the sections in both orientations, we can build a more detailed image of the cooling effect of the rumble of Gavin, demonstrating that the different urban contexts are decisive in the intensity and extent, as can be seen in this image. First of all, in the conclusions, we want to highlight that all three methods have similar results, at least in terms of cooling intensity. However, for its replication in a larger study, method 2 is considered more accurate, since it allows both cooling indicators to be calculated in greater detail, although it is noted that method 3 could present a more detailed image of the cooling effect of the parks, but this could be limited to a certain number of cases due to the large amounts of data involved in processing. As we could observe, the least cooling effect was registered in those parks that were within discontinuous urban areas and that present the lowest urban temperatures. In this sense, the highest cooling intensity was observed in areas with higher temperatures, such as industrial zones, but the greatest extent was recorded in continuous and discontinuous urban areas. This implies that there is a kind of containment effect of the cooling effect of the parks when the temperatures near to the park are excessively high and the park is not able to compensate them to spread its climatic effect. That's it. Thank you very much. Thanks for your attention.